Welcome back, dear viewers, and you are still watching Cairo Local Time. And in this segment of our program, we will talk about the production of railway cars equipped to transport grains with large transport cars to allow the speedy transfer and unloading of grain transport ships in Egyptian ports and transporting them to the places of grain storages which were established in various governorates of the Republic. All this came under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and officials clarified that the SEMA factory of the Arab Organization for Industrialization is preparing also to deliver 25 vehicles, the first batch of grain transporting wagons, to the railway authority. And to shed more light on this issue, we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Great, sir. So, sir, as I've just mentioned, that the Arab Organization for Industrialization produced the first railway cars equipped to transport grains across the governorates. To what extent this step will facilitate the transportation of grains? Also, we have to mention that all this came under the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to ease the transportation of grains and wheat, of course, in particular.
Personally, I am satisfied and happy for several reasons.
Yes.
First, that in my time in the Foreign Ministry, we were exporting the SEMA railway trains to Turkey, to Kuwait. So it was one of our very energetic companies. Now,
Yes.
So I am satisfied that it's coming back to produce a new type of trains and
Yes.
train carriages. Good news. Another point of satisfaction, that of course, if we are starting a new era of economic reform and economic development, you need transport. If you are going to produce whatever, then you need ways and means of carrying your merchandise from one place to another. Also our ports, also our airports. We need all these ways and means of development in order to make our services and our merchandise present in all our markets around us. So it is good news by all means. Now we have again reviving one of the main industries, especially in the transport industry. If you read the recent German economic reform after the Second World War, you will see that one reason of the many reasons of the development was to establish a whole traffic system which made the German to able to transfer and to transport all their merchandise from one place to another.
Yes. So, sir, how do you evaluate the government efforts to face the shortage of wheat as a result of the Russian-Ukrainian war? As we have just mentioned, that the president has a vision to make it to supply wheat, to supply the market with the wheat, and Egypt was also keen to cultivate its own crops. So, what's your take on this?
Frankly, I am not personally worried about this issue. Of course, it has its impact for the short run, but you know that it's quite a fact that wheat and cereals has a surplus around the world, whether the American production or the European. And I am used during my work at the Foreign Ministry that we were buying wheat from United States since Gamal Abdel Nasser.
Yes.
We are buying wheat from France, from Germany, from Romania. So to substitute the shortage coming because of the Ukrainian war, it's not that difficult. Also, I appreciate very much the Egyptian efforts in order to plant our own wheat in our land. So I'm quite sure that none of us will be lacking the bread anytime in the coming future.
Yes. So, sir, if we talk about the importance of encouraging industry throughout the country, and we can see now that the Arab Organization for Industrialization is producing railway cars equipped to transport grains, and they are also getting ready to deliver more vehicles, equipped vehicles to transport grains. So how do you see also the government's efforts to encourage industry here in Egypt?
Very important, because of course we need industry, because if you realize how we are addressing our investments, whether in Egypt or the Arab countries, it's addressed to services by 80%, to industry by 9%, to agriculture by 2%. This is not enough. We need to change this formula and to concentrate a little bit on industry to produce whatever we need. And I give you a figure that 70% of what the Arab world is importing are things we are not producing, mainly in the machine industry, in the transport industry, and the food production. So we have to change this priority and to push our people in order to produce in the domains where we are in great need.
Yes, sir. Also, if we talk about expanding the industry throughout the country and building industrial complexes and begin to export more products, as I think this is one of the targets and one of the main aims of achieving this 2030 agenda is to produce our own needs and to have our own factories. So, sir, how can we build more industrial complexes and start to produce our own vehicles and cars here in Egypt?
Absolutely, we are doing this. First, by open 3 main markets. Now we have free trade areas with the Arab world, with Africa, and with the European Union. So one of the attractions for the car industry or any industry to produce in Egypt, that if they produce in Egypt and export to Africa or the Arab world or European Union, they will be exempted from any taxes or custom duties or any barriers to export. So this is our main task, and Egypt is doing its best. The Suez Canal zone is another way to attract foreign direct investment, especially in industry. Now we are establishing another zones in Sinai, in Upper Egypt, and in the western part of Egypt.
Yes. So, sir, we agree that localizing industry is one of the main targets of the government in the coming period. To what extent this will help in attracting investors to Egypt?
Of course, an investor needs many things, and I must recognize that we have a lot of homework to be done. Still, we have to ameliorate our transport system. Our ports must be ameliorated. Our banking system is not up to the international level, and we have to train our people also to produce and to supply the right working hands suitable for any industry. Many tasks are ahead of us, and I think we are doing all our efforts, and we are on the right track with the help of our main partners in economic development, with the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
So, sir, finally, what are the stimulating, in your opinion, stimulating initiatives for industrial community and export sectors here in Egypt?
We have a very ambitious program to modernize our industry, and it's working. It needs more and more finance, So, of course, to develop our industry, it's a matter of government policies, taxes, and these things which encourage investors to come, to train people in order to be up to the international level of the working class. Third, to develop every individual organization or company or factory to be up to the international level by training also the people working there to produce faster with more and more effectiveness and cheaper, to be in a position to compete with our competitors, whether coming from Europe, Americas, and Japan.
Yes, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you, sir, for being with us. And as I've just mentioned, that in implementation of the directives of President Al-Fattah al-Sisi, the Arab Organization for Industrialization produced railway cars equipped to transport grains and wheat with large transport cargoes to allow the speedy transfer and unloading of grain transport ships in Egyptian ports and transporting them to the places of grain storage silos, which were established in various governorates of the Republic. And in this context, officials clarified that CMAF factory of the Arab Industrialization Authority is preparing to deliver 25 vehicles, also the first batch of grain transporting system wagons to the Railway Authority. And by that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Thank you for watching.